Madame, the Estates General brandish the threat of rebellion. There is plotting afoot. They are stirring up the populace. Worse, they are making pacts. A number of representatives of the nobility and the clergy have taken up the cause of the Third Estate. As for my army, there is not a man among them I can trust. That is why I have made new arrangements for you. From now on, the Swiss Guard will no longer be protecting you.
Then who will, my love?
Take a look for yourself. And be assured you are in sturdier hands.
Whatever do you mean?
Isn't that Ludia? Monsieur Vaucanson's dancing doll?
Appearances can be deceiving, Mesdames. The Count has made extraordinary improvements to this automat.
Aegis, this is Her Majesty the Queen. You are now to serve her. Make sure no harm comes to her and obey the orders she will give you.
Madame, I am at your service.
Bartolessa? He can speak.
This makes no sense. This is sorcery.
Make no mistake, Mesdames, it is science, which we owe to the work of the Count. And which will soon be made known to the entire world.
There's something I have to say immediately after this cutscene is over, but I don't want to break the tension. Let's see if Aegis says something after that. Okay, so remember when Aegis earlier said that the bond between her and the Queen was broken when we saw the last memoir of Athenias earlier? Well, what do we know in this game's story or premise about like when the bond between like the Cagliostro and the other automats is broken, like the soul of the character that the automat is bound to? Well, one reason as to why that happens is because I mean, the connection has to be dead, so they can't be in the purgatory anymore. Maybe that's what it is. Wait. I had a strain of some genius thought here about this subject, but I don't think I can put it in the words exactly what I mean. Certainly the Queen is not dead. I mean, one very simple thing they could do is maybe the Queen is dead. And that's the reason as to why we have no longer a connection to her all of a sudden. But that wouldn't make any sense because we literally just like met her in a cutscene right before, so that cannot be the case. Maybe it's just... No, honestly, it becomes too much of speculation, honestly. I don't think I can honestly say. I think we just have to see what comes up and if I can form some kind of logical conclusion here.
The marble courtyard is this way. Someone is expecting me. I can feel it. I must prepare for the worst.
Yeah, also, that look that Aegis has in that cutscene, usually in this game... Wait, where's actually the carriage, I guess? Usually in this game... Wait, can I travel back? Interesting, I can. Can I? No, I can't. I can just look at the map. Okay. So... Usually in this game, from every time we have had Aegis on a scene, like the game has copied my current look. Like the look that I customized for this playthrough for Aegis on my character. But this time around, in that last cutscene, it only used the basic preset of Aegis that we see like in the promotional material and the trailers of the game, so how she would look. There's a reason for that for sure, as to why they chose to do that. But the reason as to why I don't have something that looks like that as Aegis is because she looks way too callous and way too like cold and like how do I say this, like mean demeanored, I guess you could say, with the look that she had in that cutscene, which is why I made her look like this instead, because her outward appearance gives a lot more warmth with the customization that I gave on her myself, and it fits on her character more with what she does in the game and how she interacts with Athenias, for example. Does stuff change in this game in New Game Plus? Should I go figure that out? I literally did say that though, didn't I? Like when I was on that other character, before I started this playthrough, I did say that, like I remember that one enemy that was roaming in the Gross Valides or Ivalides area or whatever, in like the, what is it, like the village area before that factory. That single more powerful enemy there did not belong there in New Game, and I don't think he is there in New Game. I think they changed it for New Game Plus. So I think there is some New Game Plus changes in this game. Let's see. I'm likely not gonna play New Game Plus though, but I'm just curious if there is changes, you know? Or if it was just me forgetting what enemy was supposed to be and where. Which could easily be the case as well. Look at that. There she is. Madame de Poliaknak. Or Polianak, whatever. The very interesting thing about this automat is that this automat in the boss fight, I think she's called literally just the Iron Queen. You know what that references? Well, it's a reference to the idea that if the queen, or should I say the queen, was supposed to become an automat at some point. So the Louis XVI was literally planning to put her own wife in that same, like, nightmare, in the purgatory nightmare, to control one of these automats. Or the devil. Dude, what is wrong with her? Dude, look at her coat. What the fuck is going on with that garment? Yo, that is so distracting. They need to fix that. They are never gonna fix that, but oh well. You can always hope. I don't think she's parryable, by the way. Is this music broken? I don't think this is the music I remember from this fight. That's horrible, buddy. That's the soundtrack I remember. How do I not touch that? Can't get the wall. Come here. Do you frostbite? Nah. I think I have to double dodge that or jump. Or I think double dodge, yeah. I'm gonna shoot you with this as a finisher. Let me do it. Whatever. Yeah, she's also a decent fight, but the fight with the scribe was better from yesterday. Wait, how am I already here? Oh right, never mind, this is actually in the arena. I was like, did I already go inside the estate?
You struggle in vain, dancer! You're not long for this world!
Kick his ass, please.
Oh, see how the Aegis turns against its master.
Weapon buff is still on.
You are not my master, tyrant! You never were!
I am quite happy to concede this point, but what about the Count? Have you forgotten that he gave you life and whispered the order that animates you? Look how he runs, the coward! Do you understand what he has in mind? La pauvre enfant, sleeping so sweetly, she won't be dreaming for long now!
Yep.
Croissant! Athenias!
Cagliostro is running towards Athenias here. Yeah.
Don't move!
The time has come to set you free, Aegis. This whore's soul has poisoned your cogs for too long. Adieu, sad puppet.
No!
Bonté Divine, I don't want to die.
Athenias. The sun is rising, and you have slept for far too long. The beauty of this world longs for you, just as you long for its light. For you are like the flowers that open in the morning. I know you, mon ami. We loved each other. Vous en souvient-il? You gave me your heart. So please, let me give you mine today. Vivez heureuse, Athenais. For it is happily that I leave this world.
This way, monsieur.
Monsieur, we have the king. It is now up to us to wield his scepter. In this trying time, crucial decisions must be made without delay.
First and foremost, we must take back Paris.
And then we get these
How do we do
fucking
that, mon Dieu? There are
gossipers.
automats everywhere, and they are constantly regenerated by their crimes.
My strategy is the only viable solution. Monsieur Laclos' cannonballs filled with vitriol.
And where will we find the means to carry out your plan?
The city of Versailles is full of ateliers and shops. Moreover, as far as we have been able to see, the king's army has barely been deployed there, and it will not be too risky to look around.
Very well. Now, regaining control of Paris depends on our combined efforts.
Mais ensuite, once peace has been restored, what of the kingdom?
This is indeed a crucial issue. Leaving the nation without a government would expose it to the greatest danger.
Worse, it would condemn it to civil war.
Eh bien quoi, monsieur? Can you not govern together?
Unfortunately, the disagreements that divide our assembly run far too deep. That which we can agree is that we have been given a chance to choose the person who shall succeed the tyrant.
I claim this honor.
Excuse me? For what reason, je vous prie?
Enfin, simply consider the arguments for it.
Speak, Monsieur le Marquis. You have our full attention.
To begin with, I rescued the Dauphin from his father's clutches and ensured the dynasty's stability. The child will reign as Henri V. We will appoint someone with great wisdom to act as regent until he comes of age.
Fie. The people do not need a crowned puppet.
Yes, they do. Now more than ever before. Once the Assembly has adopted a constitution, the people will welcome a sovereign who will protect it.
A king and a constitution, like oil and water.
Go on, Monsieur le Marquis.
I have the gunpowder that the king had seized. With it, I shall ensure the security of the kingdom within and beyond its borders.
How can we be sure that you will not use it to oppress the people, or to embark on some foolhardy conquest? We know your ambitions, Monsieur le Marquis.
And you wrongly accuse me. I have never, in my entire life, done anything that was not to further the cause of freedom. Do you forget that in America I helped overthrow the English?
Of course not, mon ami. Who could forget that ruinous adventure?
You are quick to condemn men of action, provincial lawyer that you are. Monsieur, I rest my case.
Very well. Monsieur, we must now make our decision. May each of us respect this decision and set aside our personal interests for the sake of peace and the common good.
We haven't even
Who
let
among you
Monpierre talk
approves
yet.
the appointment of the
Or
Marquis de
Robespierre, I mean.
Lafayette? The court bows before the Marquis de Lafayette, Lieutenant Général du Royaume.
Louis de Bourbon, former King of France, in the name of King Henri, fifth of his name, in light of the innumerable crimes of which you have been found guilty, this extraordinary royal court sentences you to the ultimate atonement. The sentence will be carried out on the hour. In its great mercy, the court will now hear your last words.
My loyal subject, since you must lead a lamb to the altar, since you must offer a sacrifice to this new France that you intend to found, I will be that sacrifice. How dreadful this world is, where beauty is doomed to fade and flesh decays. I found no consolation in this world. I vainly thought I was giving our souls the gift of immortality beyond our mortal bodies. The Grim Reaper was my sworn enemy. Influenced by the most awful of men, I believed that the genius of machinery could overcome death itself. Alas, I have lost this fight, and am branded with the mark of murderer. Life, even more than the crown, was heavy for me to bear. I have suffered too long under the thumb of nature, which I despised. As a child, I saw my older brother die. I lost my father in the prime of his life, and then my mother, who was even younger. My beloved daughter did not live a year. As for my son,
I do feel bad for him.
I unknowingly gave him to drink from a poisoned cup. I mourn the death of these poor souls daily. My death will not unite us, of this I am
But I think his words are
For
definitely
in my misery have lost the
asked
sword of my
for
faith.
his own
So, execution,
salvation, rather than him
lay
actually
down
only
this
feeling bad.
virtue. I will sleep now. Sleep at last, and not to dream.
That was an amazing speech. Okay, I have to talk about that scene now with Athenias and Ludia. I'm not gonna lie, I did tear up on that. I'm a man enough to admit that. Like, these games that are otherwise like a train wreck for a lot of other reasons, like, there are these moments even in these games where it is just like so... Like, the way something is presented in these games, sometimes they just hit exactly correctly. And that scene with Athenias and Ludia is one of those prime examples of that. Like, there is this very, like, candid, this very, like, candid, honest, virtuous, like, demeanor that Ludia has, or Aegis has in this entire game, in combination with Athenias, and especially in the scenes where she is talking with Athenias, it's so like... It just invokes a feeling of like longing for something you are missing. It's very powerful. Like, I think that's what it might be. It's almost like this kind of like pact between like two people that is of the most like sincere and like closest of affection that you can possibly have with another human being, possibly. I guess you could kind of reference it as being in love with somebody. I guess that's what it could also be. But in this instance, it's different. Because Athenias is yearning for a mother's love that she never had. And that's in the image of what Aegis was created in, or Ludia. I still don't actually know as though why Aegis's charge was lost with the Queen. I still don't know that. Like, that scene earlier where we saw Ludia dance in that garden, I still don't know what the reason for her losing the pact with the Queen there was. Like, that is still... I don't know. It obviously holds significance. Any like any of these games with this kind of writing always has a strong meaning with it, or for it. Any decent writer is not gonna make big mistakes like that for no reason. They always have a reason. What is it though? I never got the answer even to this point to the credits. But yeah, about that last scene with King Louis, like, I read very early in some of the... Oh yeah, I completely forgot to read the codex later in the game. Oh well. Anyway, in like the codex of the king, very early in the game, like, his life was basically just pure misery up until like later parts of his life, where he finally like figured or like thought that he finally could take full charge of his life. And he thought that he could take shortcuts with science by turning to Cagliostro and his immaculate creations in order to provide a better life for his nation. But instead of that happening, like, the automats never defected. This is not a case of like Lies of Peace, like a premise where like it was thought that the puppets like defected, you know, and that's why they started attacking the humans, you know. It's not that. The automats in this game's story, they never defected in that sense. Although the normal automats in this game, they do have a certain defect for not being able to take Cagliostro's orders anymore. Like, that's something that we figure out in the Cagliostro's secret system. The minor automats just attack anything that's living. So then the kings and the queens and all of the members of the clergy, including Cagliostro, who was well outside of it, even he had to barge from his own automats that he helped manufacture or create with Eugene de Vaucanson. So even he was fighting against his own automats at that point. So it's like, you know, Louis tried to do something really great for his nation, but what ended up happening is, due to some shortcomings in the scientific research or the testings of it, the research in it, and also because of Cagliostro's own... Well, I think the problem may have honestly been just how the automats are, like, built. Because we know that the fuel for the automats is the fluids of actual bodies drained and their souls collected by the lanterns, by the vestals, and that was the thing that fueled the automats. So maybe at a certain point when they lost the control of the minor automats, Cagliostro and Louis, then what ended up happening is the minor automats just continued to kill for, like, just for the reason of surviving, because they were no longer ordered anymore. So I guess they kind of did deflect or defect. Yeah. Also, those credits are really short. Wow. What can I say? If I have to, well, I guess I should talk about how I feel about this game, like the gameplay-wise. I enjoyed this game. I actually honestly can say that the combat parts on this game, as well as some of the storytelling parts and the scenes, I enjoyed those. I genuinely enjoyed them. And unlike some of the other playthroughs that I have semi-recently done in some games, I actually would have 100%ed this game on this playthrough regardless of how I felt about it, or if that was the idea at first or not. Like, if I was just coming back to this game and this is the experience that I was getting, I would have just gone and done the side quests regardless in this game. Because the normal, like, gameplay loop of how fighting the enemies felt on this playthrough, on this character at this build, it was fun and entertaining enough that I was doing it just for that exactly. Just because it was entertaining and fun. Not because I had to do it. That's something that I did not feel when I played Lords of the Fallen just earlier before this game. In Lords of the Fallen, yes, I did kind of doodle around and kill some of the enemies, but I didn't do it just for, like, fun, just for the thrill of it, you know? But in this game, I repeatedly, if you go back and watch the VOD with this game, I repeatedly... Well, actually, here's a good example of this exactly. You know how usually in, like, Souls-like games or any of these, like, action games where the, like, checkpoints are, like, really far apart from the point where you die? I typically kill only the enemies once in the path and then I run past them in most of these games. This game is a very rare exception of that. Because in this game, when I died somewhere, even though I didn't die very often, that's actually a good point to also make, but when I did sometimes die in this game, I usually always killed, if not every single enemy on the path, or most of the enemies on the path before I got back to my anima, or my spot where I died. So, that's a pretty good clear sign as to how I feel about this game's combat. It is fun enough where I would just do it just because I can. And not because I was forced to. So, yeah. If immediately right now somebody would question if I would just, you know, play this game over, like, Lords of the Fallen, I would probably play this game over that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that this game deserves to be the worst game that I have on my list of games that I have ever played. I don't think that this belongs there. But the problem is the competition, even on the lower end of the games that I have on my list, that I have played on Forest Stream. All of those games are so good, most of them, that it's so impossible for me to rate this game somewhere else. It becomes so difficult. Like, I could change the ratings of games like Dragon's Dogma 2 and put them lower, but the thing with games like Dragon's Dogma is that they are significantly more polished games. But there is something else that is very powerful in this game that Dragon's Dogma 2 does not have. Dragon's Dogma 2, at least the part of the game that I got to see, and, well, I spoiled myself for the rest of the playthrough watching other people's gameplays. It does not have a very, like, relatable, like, heartwarming and, like, very like, how do I say this? It does not have a very enchanting story that it tells, like this game does. Like, if you are very intrigued with the main character, main protagonist of this game, like I am, with Aegis, then you get so much more out of this game just by enjoying some of the character interactions with her that build up her character that you do not see in a game like Dragon's Dogma, obviously, because the Arisen is just a generic character that is just chosen throughout the generations to rule in Wernsworth, or Vermund, I mean. But yeah. So that's like a very strong thing to point out, but Dragon's Dogma 2 as a video game is significantly more polished than this game is. But this is a AA game. This is like a low-end AA game is Steelrising. So like when you take that into account, this game is very nice. When you take that into account. But Dragon's Dogma, obviously, that's a AAA game from Capcom, so it's kind of hard to like compare them because of that. But yeah, I definitely do not believe that this game deserves to be the worst of like the 26 games I have played on stream, or like the single player games that I have played in my life that were very like thought-provoking. I don't think this deserves to be there at all. But as to where I increase it is a problem. The boss fights and the enemy design in this game is... that is just... it's so lackluster, honestly. Like, fighting the enemies in this game is fun enough where it never becomes frustrating for me, or ever became. But the actual, like, enemy variety in this game is really bad. Like, it's like in Lords of the Fallen, like, it's super bad. There simply is not enough enemies and interesting and difficult enough boss fights for it to be worthwhile, in my opinion. That's something that Lords of the Fallen does better, by the way. The bosses in Lords of the Fallen are better than in this game, but they are not much better than in this game. But then there are some outliers, like Pieta of the Hallowed Sentinels, or Pieta of the... what the fuck was her other title? Renewal? Hold up. Blessed Renewal, that's what it was. Pieta of the Blessed Renewal was one of the biggest shining brights of boss fights when it came to that game. And then obviously Eliane as well, the version of Pieta that she could have become if she never was taken in by the Hallowed Sentinels, obviously. Like, we know that. Like, Eliane, Pieta, Judge Cleric is also very cool, but she's too easy fight. She's once again too easy fight, but she's insanely cool. Let's make that clear. Like, she's a very cool fight. Tancred and Reynold the Immured are also... like, that fight is also cool, but once again, it's too easy fight again. So, we have that same problem. But then apart from that, yeah, kind of whatever. With this game, we have... let's see, what are the memorable fights? The first, like, bowling pin that we fight in, like, the Paladin Justice. That boss is pretty memorable, but it's not, like, challenging or anything, but it is memorable, and it's a gimmick fight. You have to hit, like, a certain part of his body, right? It makes it stand out from the rest because of that. All of the other bosses you can hit anywhere, and it's just whatever. Then what else? The horse fight in the mines is also quite memorable, but not on this playthrough as much. And I think, honestly, the... the best two bosses in this game are obviously the Queen, the Iron Queen, and the Scribe, the Cagliostro's Secrets DLC boss that I killed yesterday. Those are the two best bosses in the game for sure. But if the Cagliostro's... if the Scribe had more interesting music on the background and some more flair on the attacks maybe, that boss would easily be the best boss in the game without question. but the Queen has infinitely more interesting music. It's the main score of the game, which is one of the favorites from this game for sure. Actually, it's the best track in this game for sure. And that track, like on that boss fight, and there's also a decent amount of complexity also in the Queen boss fight. But I still find it too easy every time I've done it, which is like 2 times I've killed it. One on the level 38 character with the immobilization physical build, and then we have this character, which you just saw me kill it, how I killed it, and she was still way too easy. Like, with the scribe, I actually felt while doing that boss, I actually felt that the scribe was putting enough pressure on me where I can't just back off and just live by not dodging and just spamming my heals off or anything. I actually felt like that boss is threatening enough where you cannot just like take a break from it, heal, and then come back. Like, that's something that Lords of the Fallen, as well as this game, do very poorly. It's one of the bigger reasons as to why the boss fights in these games, as well as most of the normal enemies, feel too easy. Because they give you so big openings and so much breathing room that you never really feel that the game is like threatening you with, or it doesn't feel like your in-game life bar is threatened. You never really feel like you're gonna die in some situation in this game. At least that's how I had it the whole playthrough. I never felt, almost never felt, that like I had to like play really well at a certain point, or I was gonna like die or something, you know, to come back from like situations where I've taken a lot of damage. I always felt like there's enough time for me to just reset and get my heals up and everything. But yeah, I don't think that this game deserves to be on the last slot, and I'm not sure what I will be playing next time, but whatever I will be playing tomorrow then, or perhaps even later today, possibly,